Hello, Randy Crabtree here. We are recording from the Bridging the Gap Conference 2024. It's day 2. It's been an unbelievable first 24 hours, enjoying it, having a great time, and it's going to be even better today because we have Richard Kopelman with us. Richard will be presenting today at the conference on culture. I had specifically asked him if he can come and do that, and I did that because of the way he's built the firm, and they've grown tremendously, but culture's always been really important to Richard. So Richard, welcome, and thank you for sitting down with me today.
Randy, thanks for having me here on the podcast. Is it a podcast? Video?
We're going to call it a podcast. I don't know what to call it.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on this podcast.
Videocast.
Thanks for having me on the videocast.
You
and great to be here at the conference, spend some time, and right before I fly out to actually go to the ASCPA Major Firm Group meeting.
You are
the rest
nonstop. But you have, how many miles are you putting on a year? Any idea?
I don't know the miles per year.
They changed it, so.
I'm getting close to, I think I'm getting fairly close to Diamond for Life status.
Okay.
But I did hit Diamond for this year already last month.
Really, and we're halfway through the year. All right, he's on the road, he's busy. So today you are actually doing a fireside chat with Dan Hood, which I love Dan, I love you, you guys are awesome, and this is gonna be a lot of fun. And it's going to be, like I said, on the culture, because you and I met 6 or 7 years ago, and culture was a discussion we always had, and I know that's always important to you, and you've done things within Aprio from day one about the culture. Oh, what's your tagline you always say? In the office, like everything's great, or
it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's the sign above our snack wall in our offices. It says it's all good.
All good. So, and then in the last 6 years, 7 years, you've gone from 70 million to close to 500 million. You know, now a top 25 CPA firm, correct?
Correct.
And I've always wondered, and we haven't talked a lot about the M&A work and how the cultures fit, but I've always wondered, how do you, because culture is so important to you, how do you make sure that integration with these firms that you're bringing in, the culture is going to mesh with what you're doing? So I don't know if you want to just get into that and give us some explanation.
No, I'm glad to get into it. And we've done this explosive growth.
Yep.
And we've gone from 1 office to 24 in the U.S. plus 2 abroad during that 7-year time period. And with that, 2022 we were best places to work on Glassdoor, and for 2024 we were best places to work on USA Today's list across the country. And that's not within our profession. That's just companies, throughout the country, which is great to get a little bit of acknowledgement about the hard work that we've gone through.
It definitely is.
Hopefully it's okay to say we have a no asshole policy at the firm. That's like ground rule number 1.
So, sorry to stop you. We have a no jerks allowed. I think it's the same type of policy.
Thing,
all right.
But there's not a book about that. But there is a book called The No Asshole
Oh, really?
Rule.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So check it out.
Okay.
Easy read. We gave them out, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years ago before we started this growth trajectory that we're on right now.
Yep.
And, look, we do a few things that are really critical. One is, I always say that our culture is defined and it's practiced. Most cultures are just talked about as we have a great culture and we have great people.
Right, exactly.
And we've boiled it down to defined and practiced. And in addition to that, we do things like we have an industrial psychologist that's worked with us for many years.
Love it.
That interviews all of the incoming senior leadership at firms that are joining. Also the same thing with laterals. Any senior lateral talent and people that we're adding to the organization, team members we're adding. And he's also helped us with the entire team that we have, at the firm now. You mentioned earlier you had Jen Wilson on your podcast yesterday.
Yep.
We did a lot of work with her. We've done a lot of work with her, continue to do a lot of work with her and others to continue to work on who we are, how we're behaving, and making sure that the culture that's defined in practice is thriving every day.
Okay, so let's get into a specific. I'm just going to pick up one. You're in Atlanta.
Okay.
You, a couple of years ago, merged in a New York firm. In my mind,
Tarlow and Company.
Okay,
Yep.
In my mind, Atlanta and New York are different from a culture standpoint, just in general, from a city standpoint. I would assume the firms would be different. So do you run into any hiccups or headaches or or something you just realize right away, we need to change something, we just need to let know people this is how, so that's just one example, but tell me how that happens.
You know, it's funny, when I first started going to New York, and because of our transaction advisory practice and the number of PE funds we work with, we wanted to be in New York. I mean, where else would you be? And you know, there were times where I'd go to meetings and people would kind of look at me funny and want to know where my overalls were because I was from Atlanta. And is Atlanta is it a real city? You know, so it took a while. And sometimes it does. I mean, you go to places, it takes a little time to find the right fit that's going to match up the cultures. And ultimately, every time we find firms that are very similar to who we are, and we've been building the firm where leadership comes from the firms that have joined us. So we've really been building a firm together with the firms that have been merging in with Aprio. And when we went to San Francisco, that was certainly initially, they were a little concerned. Hey, you're from Atlanta, we're from San Francisco, Bay Area, Walnut Creek, San Francisco. And if you look at the stats of our organization, we have 60 languages on staff.
Oh, I remember that.
30% of the team is foreign born.
Wow.
So we're a very dynamic, diverse, inclusive organization. We focus on that as part of who we are, and it's part of our fundamentals of behavior that we practice and have defined within the firm.
I love that, because I'm very fortunate I get to go and talk on culture in firms and organizations, and I think culture is almost the base of everything. I mean, culture is going to create the environment you want. And you know, I also talk on mental health and burnout. And when I was looking at that, I go, why do we at Tri-Merit not lose people? We don't have this culture issue, or we don't have dissatisfaction, and it just came down to culture. And so what I ended up doing is, I want to ask you about this because you said it's defined. I'll tell you what I've done, and then I want to hear how you've defined it. So for me personally, I wrote a culture code. And this is the code, and this is our pledge to the people we work with. And this is what, if you aren't getting this out of being here, you know, we need to address something. And I love the fact that we've got that code. So I want to know what the definition means to you on the culture.
So I love the term, the code that you have. I think that's great. Do you call it like the Tri-Merit code?
Yeah, the culture code, Tri-Merit culture code.
One of the things we talk a lot about is that culture will eat strategy for lunch. So I agree with you. You get the culture right, you practice it, you execute on the code. The rest of it will just fall into place, right? People will do the right things at the right time for the right people, and everything will work itself out. We've defined it as the Aprio Way.
Okay, yes.
And I think, as I've shared with you in the past, Aprio actually comes from the Latin root word of cap. We dropped off the C, aria, the Italian song of the hearts. We scrambled some letters to make Aprio. It's also, as you know, my middle name, my second middle name.
Not when you were born, it wasn't your middle name.
Not when I was born. It's become my second middle name. And to back up that brand, because it's one thing to say your head and heart, but it's another thing to activate it. So we activate it with what's called the Aprio Way. It's 31 fundamentals of behavior. And we practice one fundamental every week. And we start all over again. In fact, you were asking about our team in New York. And when they joined us, at first they were like, okay, whatever, like this sounds a little cultish to me. This is ridiculous. They can't actually do this. And my partners would share that. After a few weeks and months as part of Aprio, they realized how powerful practicing something like this can be. And they're basic fundamentals. They're things that we all learned, you know, throughout, you know, our lives before we were 18 years old. Act with integrity, do what's right for the client, embrace change, speak straight, value differences, be kind, keep things fun. These are, you know, all, and those are just, you know, a sample of the 31. So that's how we define it and how we.
Yeah, I love the value differences. That's what you said, right?
Value differences is fundamental number 10.
Nice. You got to memorize. That's awesome.
I do not have them memorized. Don't quiz me. But one of our team members in the Philippines, at our annual Philippines holiday party, we had a contest, and she named them all in something like I think a minute or less.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
that's
she got
impressive.
A great prize.
Yeah,
we had a lot of contestants.
People are enjoying it. Then obviously the embracing differences, however you say it. And however, that's a core value for us as well, because it took me a while to realize, DEI, everything, belonging as well. But that's not even exactly the way you might think of it when I say it. It's everybody is different. Everybody has different passions and skills and talents and things they like to do and want to do and things they don't like to do and don't want to do. And we did this one, like, not an experiment, but this one thing at one of our company retreats where we all figured out our different, Clifton Strengths Finders, our strengths.
Okay.
And that was so impactful. At the end of this whole presentation, the speaker had us go into 4 corners of the room based on the 4 strengths we had.
Okay.
And just looking at that and seeing the differences in the skills and passions from everybody, and I looked around there and I'm over in this corner, and like, we can't exist without all of these people, and there was diversity just within that corner and this corner and that corner and that corner. And if everybody was with me, we got nothing. We don't have a business. We have fun, but we don't have a business. And so just from that standpoint, that diversity, I'm seeing the skill sets and the diversity just within those groups was amazing to me. And that really just stuck with me, and making sure I'd never just go hire a clone of myself because I want to go have a beer with that person. So, I'm sorry, I went on a rant there, but this is such an amazing thing.
That's a danger. I always share with the team, everybody's sitting behind their desk in their seat, wearing their glasses that they've, and all the stuff that has come along with them in life. And so you can show 2 people sitting behind 2 desks the exact same scene, or tell them the exact same story. And each one of them is going to see it completely differently based on their personal perspectives.
Yep.
We also use disc profile.
Okay, I figured you did something.
So something similar to, sounds like what you went through,
Yep.
where, you're either a,
I don't even know. I know what you mean
or
now.
C,
Yep.
And it's great because it helps us figure out how do I communicate with that person who's different than me, and because it's on the communicators. It's the communicator's job to make sure they're saying it in a way that the other person's hearing it.
Yep, that's great.
So all important parts of building a great culture.
All right, so this I know has been a passion of yours. I was always impressed talking to you. I always am impressed talking to you about the culture aspect of things. You have a new aspect to culture that just a big announcement actually a few weeks ago that I don't know how you say it, PE investment, PE partner. You explain it to me what recently happened, and then I want to ask you about how the culture is going to play into that.
Yeah, we've brought in a outside capital partner.
There you go.
Into Aprio with a substantial stake, is how we're referring to it in the organization, as we continue to grow and elevate the business and continue to build the firm of the future.
Right.
We've brought this partner in to work alongside of us. I actually just spent 2 days with them in Boston recently, where they're headquartered, working on strategy and looking at different aspects of the business together. Going through that process has been a 6-month effort, and we spent a lot of time thinking about and talking about the culture of the organizations, because we look at it as an intellectual and partnership exercise in terms of our partnership together. Of course, they're not going to be running day-to-day operations. They're an investor in the business. And culture is important because we want to continue to operate the business as we've been operating it.
Under the Aprio Way.
Under the Aprio Way, and Aprio is going to continue to be Aprio. And we want to do it better, faster, create more opportunity, even more opportunity for our team members. We've promoted over 50 people to partner and director over the last 6 years. And we want to continue, and we will continue to do those things. So aligning cultures was very important. And in the very first meeting we had with our new partner, Charles Bank, they came actually to the meeting with a one-pager that lined up their core values to our 31 fundamentals of behavior. And in every conversation we have with them, culture and what's special about Aprio and maintaining that comes up literally in every meeting we have. And it's not us bringing it up. It's actually them bringing it up. Because private equity funds are known for taking good businesses sometimes. I shouldn't say they're known for, but sometimes
they have.
private equity funds take very good businesses and change them and screw them up.
Yep. Well, I had complete confidence that you weren't going to allow that to happen, and any partner that you brought in was going to be fully vetted and make sure that the culture was never affected. So, one, impressive. Everything you've done is always impressive. Two, good luck as you continue to grow, and I'm really excited to see what happens. And three, looking forward to your presentation today, because it's going to be a longer version of what we did here probably. So
I'm excited to spending time with Dan is always a good thing.
Dan's one of my favorites.
So looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.